Hello and welcome back into Barrels and Barrels, a Bourbon and Baseball podcast power rankings edition. This is week 24, September 11th, 2023. I am Brandon. That is Michael. As I just said, this is our top 10 power rankings episodes. We'll have a few more nuggets on other teams as well. But as I mentioned, that's Michael. Michael and I were just in Chicago together to go check out a couple of Cubs games. Mikey, how was your flight back?
Flight back was great. I got upgraded at first. I was supposed to be at the last seat in the absolute back of the plane next to the toilets. But we didn't have a full plane, so I got moved to an extra cabin leg room.
Ooh,
I had the
stretch
row
out.
all to myself. I started to watch, what did I watch? Casino Royale. James
Oh, nice.
Bond.
Good movie. Good movie.
Didn't get to finish.
And you got a haircut as well? Two new haircuts for the crew?
Yep, got my fade going on a little bit.
Yeah, I got mine as well. My mama gave me a haircut just because she owns a hair salon. So went to the salon after you left. I took a nap after you left, and then I went to the hair salon and got a haircut. Well, this is our Power Rankings episode brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. Use promo code BNB at 10thwhiskey.com for 10% off your order. Again, this is any of the liquid spirits on their website, or if you want to buy a T-shirt, glass from them, maybe even a hoodie or even
Flask.
just a
They got
barrel,
flask,
a flask.
glassware, socks, I'm sure.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of stuff. 10% off anything from their website. So go check those guys out. 10thwhiskey.com for 10% off your order. And if you want to check out our Glencairns or our glassware, you can also find those on our Instagram page at Barrels and Barrels Pod. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button here. And if you're a fan of bourbon, we also have our YouTube bourbon channel. That is BNB Bourbon on YouTube. So again, youtube.com at BNB Bourbon. Without further ado, let's jump in. Top 10 power rankings. A new team into my top 10. Number 10 this week, jumping up from 11 last week. The Toronto Blue Jays winning 5 out of 6 this week, albeit they only played the two worst teams in baseball, Oakland and KC. But they've now got the 6th best record of baseball, 2nd best ERA in the second half. They are currently 80-63, 3rd in the AL East, but 8-2 in their last 10. They're playing a big series. This series could be the nail in the coffin this upcoming week. They host the Texas Rangers for 4. And if they could win that series, and if they could sweep that series, they basically just say, bye-bye, Texas, as Texas did fall out of my top 10 this week. So, Mikey, who's your number 10 team?
Right, Texas fell out of my top 10 as well. At 10, I've got the Chicago Cubs. Really disappointing weekend for them. After the start of the week they had, sweeping the San Francisco Giants. Looked like they were going to keep rolling right as Arizona came into town. Disappointing weekend, especially since we were there. Cubs just couldn't put batters on bases.
Yeah. And when they did, they just couldn't score.
Right. They barely touched third in the 2 games that we were there. Still came away with a positive run differential as they lost 1-0 to the Diamondbacks and 6-3, 6-2 and 3-2. So not terrible. The pitching was there. The offense just couldn't come around Zach Gallen.
Yeah. Hard to beat an ace sometimes. Sometimes the ace gets you. So that's your number 10 team. My number 9 team falling 4 spots. It was one of the hottest teams in the league earlier in the month of August. The Seattle Mariners are my 9th team this week. Down 4 spots, 3-7 in their last 10, 2-5 this week. They lost one. They won 1 game in Cincinnati, and then they lost 3 of 4 versus the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay, and they only won that game 1-0. So they kind of snuck through with that one. Still one of the best teams in the second half. 89 home runs. They've got the 5th best second half record of 34-20. So still a great team. Still in the playoffs as of today is the final wild card spot. But it was a rough week. It's kind of been a rough 2 weeks for Seattle. They had a rough weekend last weekend versus the Mets. So 3 straight series losses for the Mariners after they were rolling. Still have a positive run differential of plus 98. Still a good team. I still think that they're a playoff team. But boy, they're mired in I'd say a slump here this past week, so they're down to 9 for me.
Yep, I've got them right there, dropping 4 spots to 9 as well. Same reasons that you said. You wonder maybe if they just got too hot, too early, and you hope that George Kirby didn't ruin the clubhouse atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
after he pitched, went out and on his 102nd pitch gave up a game-tying two-run home run. Came into the clubhouse after the game, talked to the press, and said, "I didn't think I should have went back out there for the seventh."
Yeah, maybe that's something you don't talk to the media about and go to your manager and you discuss that with him, but you kind of threw your manager under the bus. Oof.
Yeah,
even Roger Clemens had a comment on that.
Like you said, they sneaked away with 2 wins this week, a -7 run differential on the week.
My number 8 team is the team you had in 10th, the Chicago Cubs. They actually jump up a spot for me. On the week, they still had an above 500 week, 4-3 on the week after sweeping the Giants. They did lose 3 out of 4 at home versus Arizona. They have the 7th most runs scored in baseball at 725. In the second half, they have the 3rd most runs. Did you know that they have 53 stolen bases in the second half? And that is in the top 5 in all of baseball.
Who's all stealing? Nico,
Nico, Bellinger. You've had Belly steal
sure.
quite a bit. Dansby.
I'm sure Dansby. No?
Dansby hasn't been running a whole lot. Hap picks his Talkman when he's playing. Even Candy, I think, stole a bag or 2 recently, and I think Yan Gomes did as well. So they're getting it from all over the place, but primarily Nico and Cody. They're a good team. I mean, they're one of the best teams in the NL. Runs scored, they've got the 3rd best runs scored in all of the NL. The run differential still plus 98. They've got a big series in Arizona this upcoming week as we head on into the weekend. But 77-67, 10 games above 500, 4-3 this week. Hard to beat that when you beat both teams that you played were in the wild card hunt. You kind of put a big spot between you and San Fran, but Arizona did creep back into the picture. Still second place in the NL wild card. They go up because the Seattle Mariners dropped so much in mine, or they'd probably be back in 9th, but last week they were 9th. Now this week the Cubs up to 8th. Who's your 8th team?
8th team, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. They beat up on the Padres a little bit, two games out of 3, but they did lose the series to Miami. Still like what they're getting out of their starting pitching and their bats altogether. Philly did get 2 wins. Their starting pitchers were 2-1 this week in games that they had a decision in. Not the best that you want out of a starting pitching out of our power rankings. For example, the Seattle Mariners went 2-2 in starting pitchers, and the Cubs went 3-1 in their starting pitchers. But Philly, I still like their pitching. Taijuan Walker has been pitching decent of late. Aaron Nola, I'd like to see him pick it back up. He
More
didn't
consistent.
have the best week. Right. He didn't have the best week. Philly does have a tough week coming up. 4 games versus Atlanta.
With a doubleheader today on Monday.
Right. And then they finish the week in St. Louis. And St. Louis has not been messing around too much lately, so not a walk-on like the Royals would be.
Yeah, definitely. The Phillies are my 7th team. They are up a spot. They were your 8th. I go to 7. They're up just because Seattle fell so much. I really wouldn't have popped them up so much, but at least they had a 500 week. Seattle went 2-5 last week. Philly went 3-3. Again, they took the series from San Diego. They lost the series versus Miami. They almost won that game today, or on Sunday, 4-6 in their last 10, though. Not looking as dominant as they did in the month of August. Still, in the second half, they've got 87 home runs, and they've scored the 9th most runs in baseball here all years. Still have a pretty good defense. I do think that if that starting rotation can get their stuff together, and more so Aaron Nola, you've got one of the best top 3. Michael Lorenzen hasn't been great since his no-hitter, so you need to get him better. But that top 3 looks pretty good. Who's your 7th team?
7th team, I've got the Milwaukee Brewers. They didn't have the hardest schedule this week against Pittsburgh. They really should have won that series against Pittsburgh, going 1-2. But then really looking like a good team, a complete team against New York Yankees. Nearly having a no-hitter, combined no here against the Yankees here on Sunday, or yesterday, whatever we want to call it. Corbin Burns looking like Corbin Burns. On the week, the Milwaukee Brewers starting pitchers only had 2 decisions, and they were 1-1 in that. But the offense and defense combined had a 13 positive run differential on the week. So they're still, like last week, my number 7 team.
The only thing I'll go against on that starting pitcher is not getting, what would you say, decisions. 2 wins? Corbin Burns pitched 8 innings shutout baseball, and he doesn't get a decision today because his offense didn't score any runs. And same
Sounds
with
familiar.
Javier Assad with the Cubs a couple weeks ago. He was in line for the win, and his bullpen blew it. My sixth team this week is the Milwaukee Brewers, the team you just talked about. 5-5 in their last 10, 3-3 this week. That's called mediocre, but they stay in the same spot, same as last week, because, again, Seattle continued to fall through my power rankings. 79-63, good for, I believe that is the 7th best record in all of baseball right now, tied with the Mariners. They actually are a half game better than the Mariners. Their run differential, though, is still making me worried a little bit. 36. That's the worst of any of the best teams in baseball. That's really one of the worst of any of the top 15 teams in baseball.
Right.
However, it's all because their second half ERA is the second best in baseball. So they're pitching great. They're maybe scoring a little more in the second half, but really, they're 18th in run scoring all year. So their offense isn't what's doing it for them. It's their defense and pitching. Sal Frelick with another incredible day in the outfield. They have a better second half record than they did in the first half. So they're looking better. I don't think that they're a top 5 team yet, but I think they're on the cusp of it. If they can win this week, they've got a 4-game set. This could really make or break the wild card in some regards because they play the Miami Marlins for 4 in Milwaukee. So they could kind of put the Marlins to bed, or the Marlins, if they come in strong, could kind of punch in at the Brewers this week. So that's going to be an interesting week ahead. So Milwaukee Brewers, my number 6 team. Who do you have 6th?
6th, I've got the team with suddenly the 6th best record in the major leagues. That's the Toronto Blue Jays.
Where'd you have them ranked last week?
11.
Okay. Just wondering.
Yeah, they're moving up 5 spots for me into 6th. The Toronto Blue Jays came and swept Texas like everyone seems to be doing these days, beating up on them, and then taking the series against San Diego. Toronto had a positive 12-run differential, and their starting pitchers went 3-1 on the week. So that's what you want to see out of a playoff contending team is starting pitching, making an impact. And like you said, that's not all. Wins aren't all that matters. But still, you like to see your starting pitchers get the decision. It means they were pretty darn good.
Yeah, pretty darn good and pitched later into the game, most likely. I wanted to put them a little higher. I just couldn't buy the fact that they played the 2 worst teams in baseball. So if they can do it this week versus Texas and then if they can do it this week versus Texas and division rival, easy for me to say, the Boston Red Sox, they'll probably jump up even further for me. But that is our 10 through 16. Before we go any further in our top 5, we'd like to ask you to hit the subscribe button below if you haven't done that already, and hit the like button. We'd like to hear what your thoughts are about our power rankings, what you think about the teams we've listed off so far, who your favorite team is. Maybe you think a team should be a little bit higher in the power rankings, or maybe you think we ranked a team too high. We'd love to hear that as well. Just put those in the comments. Also hit the like button. And once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away some stuff. So we're almost there. 250 more to go or so. So we're about... we're 75% of the way there, so we're almost there.
There we go.
So go hit that subscribe. So go hit that subscribe button. Hard for me to talk today. Number 5 team for me, the Houston Astros, with probably the biggest jump inside my top 10. They are up to 5 this week. They have the 5th best record in baseball, 5-1 this week after sweeping division rival Texas. They showed the Texas Rangers who their daddy is. Yes. Altuve had an incredible week. Then they took 2 out of 3 versus San Diego. 5-1 this week, 82-62. And all of a sudden, they're I think they have currently the best odds via Fangraphs to win the World Series in the American League.
In the American League.
American League.
Let's say yes. The Braves still, I'm sure, have the best odds altogether, but American League.
Yeah, in the second half, they have the second most runs, and they have the second best on-base percentage. So they're scoring, they're getting on base, and the pitching is doing the job as well. So the Houston Astros, 5 for me.
Yep, 5 got the same thing. Houston Astros, both sides of the plate doing it all. They had a positive 27 run differential on the week. 27. Mm-hmm. That's almost as much as the Brewers have all year.
Yeah, well, they beat the Rangers 39-10 in the 3 games, I believe. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So you like to see what you just said from Jose Altuve, Kyle Tucker. They're all doing it. Justin Verlander, Framber. They look like a scary team, like they have been in the years past.
And they're starting to get everything in line right in time for the stretch run and then into the playoffs. So a scary team yet again, the Houston Astros. Number 4 for me, down a spot from last week in third. The LA Dodgers, they're 4-6 in their last 10. They play the Marlins and the Washington Nationals this week. They only went 3-3, lost 2 out of the 3 versus the Marlins. Didn't have the best week, stayed right there at 500 for the week. Didn't really lose a whole lot of ground because the Diamondbacks are so far down in the standings that the NL West is theirs. It's just kind of getting healthy. Freddie Freeman got another record-breaking double. So the Dodgers, I'm not too worried about other than Mookie's injury. We'll see how that comes out. But the second best team in the NL right now, second most runs in all of baseball, fourth most runs in the second half, and they have the best on-base percentage in the second half. And what did Peter Brand say? How do you win baseball games?
You get
score
on
runs
base.
and you get on base, and that's what the Dodgers do. And if they continue to get on base, then I don't have any issue with this team being in the top 5.
Right. I've got them at number 4 as well. Positive 6-run differential on the week. We'll see how they do upcoming against San Diego and Seattle. They could really hurt Seattle's chances if they go there and mess around and put Seattle down. So it could be a fun weekend there towards the end of the week.
Yeah, Seattle's got the LA teams this week in Seattle. The Angels will visit them, and then the Dodgers. So hopefully, for Seattle's sake, they're beating up on both the LA teams, but the Dodgers could put a hurting on the Mariners up in Seattle, and that could change a whole lot of things in that AL wildcard race because Texas has Toronto and then Cleveland. Number 3 for me. The Tampa Bay Rays, they continue to defy everything we thought about them. Just 3 or 4 weeks ago, we said we think that they were just dead.
Can you fall?
They were dead men walking, and they continue to prove us wrong. 6-4 in the last 10, but 5-2 this week, and they didn't do it against slouchy teams. They did against the Boston Red Sox and Seattle Mariners. Their run differential is the second best in baseball this year, plus 195. They've scored the 4th most runs. And did you know that their pitching has the second best FIP in the second half? Second best FIP, meaning fielding independent pitcher. And we've been talking about, they don't have anybody pitching. Everybody's been hurt. But Glasnow, who was it the other day that I looked at? I was like,
Zach
how
Eflin.
is he? Eflin. We were looking at the scoreboard in Wrigley. I was like, he's got the best whip in baseball? Well, it's ridiculous. So
Zach Eflin, Adam Savali. Two
That's
guys
right, they
that
just
you
got
would
him.
not think that would be shutting the guys down and be a top rotation for a playoff team. My opinion.
Yeah, 88-56. What's that? 32 games above 500. They've won 3 in a row. They've got big series on the road versus Minnesota, and then it could be the series of the year. Baltimore versus Tampa. Baltimore's got a 3-game lead. So as that one sweep by Tampa, and all of a sudden that standings flip. So that's my number 3 team, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep, I'm right there for all the same reasons we just talked about together. Tampa Bay had a positive 7-run differential on the week. Their starting pitchers only had decisions. They had 1 wins and 2 losses. But Adam Savali, at the trade deadline, we said that the Tampa Bay Rays needed to add pitching. They should go out. They could get Ohtani. They could get from the White Sox.
Lance Lynn.
Giolito. We said Lance Lynn, I think, is who we should go to
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Rays. And then other we're like, Adam Savali. One, what are the Guardians doing? 2, is that what Rays really think is going to carry them? And look at us. The Rays are zigging while everyone else is zagging.
Yeah, the Rays have played much better baseball here than we anticipated here in the second half, and they are our number 3 team. And as we jump into the top 2, once again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below if you haven't done that already, and also hit the like on this video. We'd love to hear who your favorite team is, maybe who your favorite player is. Leave that in the comments below. Hey, here's another one. Who do you think is going to win the NL Cy Young? Put that in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Blake Snell, Zach Allen, Justin Steele, or is it Spencer Strider? And Spencer Strider plays for probably our number 1 team, because my number 2 team, a team that went on 7-game winning streak in the last week and a half, the Baltimore Orioles, 7-3 in their last 10, but 5-1 this week. They did lose the final game versus Boston on Sunday, but they took 3 of the 3 versus the Angels, and then the first 2 versus Boston. They've got the St. Louis Cardinals, who've been playing much better as of late, early in the week, but they've got 7 games at home, and then they end that this week with a 4-game series versus Tampa. Now, their run differential isn't the best, but they're the first team in the AL to win 90 games. They're at 90-52, and in the second half, they've got the best record, tied for the best record with the Dodgers at 36-17. They're rolling young kids who maybe a lot of people discounted, but last year they won 73 games, I believe, and this year they're already at 90. So the Baltimore Orioles, my number 2 team.
Yeah, I've got the Baltimore Orioles as well at 2. Positive 17 run differential on the week, and their starting pitching record were 3-1, tied for the most out of the teams in our top 10. I was trying to look at what is Baltimore's wild card elimination number just to get in, but I don't have that in front of me. That'd be great to see, just to see Baltimore make the playoffs for the first time since 2016, I believe.
16 or 17. Was 16 the year that they didn't pitch Britain?
Yes, I want to say so.
I think that's the last time they'd make the playoffs.
Yeah, so Baltimore probably pretty close to having a spot secured, as our number 1 team, the Atlanta Braves, did secure their playoff spot today. First team to do that. That's right. First team that they didn't secure the division yet, but they have a playoff berth. So if they were to go on an absolute losing streak, they're still in it via a wild card spot.
Yeah.
Atlanta pitching this week, the starting pitchers, 2-3 record. Didn't have the greatest week, a -1 run differential, as they got beat up by the St. Louis Cardinals and didn't do too much against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, they didn't do a ton, but they got the win. 3-3 for the Braves this week, our number 1 team. 93-49. Hell, that's what? Quick math. What's that? 44 games above 500? That's ridiculous. And they went 3-3 this week. Run differential 238. Not much more we can continue to say about the Atlanta Braves other than they're insane. There's no hole in that lineup, and just when you think they lose 3 games this week, they're probably going to go out and destroy the Phillies and the Marlins this week.
Well, the thing is too, they're resting some of their starting pitchers. They're bringing up guys who are making their major league debuts and starting. Dylan Dodd is pitching for them, who is not going to be on their playoff roster probably. So I would say at least 1 game out of the week, the Braves are kind of throwing into the hat and saying, "Hey, you know what? If we lose it, we lose it."
Just get healthy, and be healthy and ready when the postseason starts. So there's our top 10 power rankings, again, brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. Don't forget promo code B&B for 10% off your order. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button here. And let's jump into the honorable mentions. Last week I did 30 through 11. I'm going to do it again, as well as I'll give you my 30th team, the Kentucky. I almost just said the Kentucky. Let's start that over. Our 30 through 11, at least for my honorable mention. The Kansas City Royals in 30, Oakland 29, 28 the Colorado Rockies, Chicago White Sox 27, Washington Nationals 26 down a spot, St. Louis Cardinals up a spot to 25, Mets 24, LA Angels had a better week, 3-4, but still they took 3 out of 4 versus the Guardians, so they're up to 23, Pittsburgh 22, San Diego in 21st, Detroit comes in at 20, Cleveland at 19, the Yankees at 18, and 17 the San Francisco Giants. 16, 15, 14 goes Cincinnati, Boston, Miami. Texas Rangers, one of the bigger drops in my power rankings. Second worst drop, down to 13. Arizona 12, and in 11, Minnesota, the Twins, just outside of my top 10. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Michael, you have any nuggets or tidbits in your honorable mentions for this week in your power rankings?
Minnesota really moving up. They had a great week.
Mm-hmm.
A huge positive run differential. I don't have it in front of me because my computer was lapping out on me. But I know Minnesota had a huge run differential on the week. So moving up for sure.
Them, Arizona, and the Miami Marlins all had good weeks in the wild card. I pretty much say that the Minnesota Twins have locked up that division as well. I think they're 7.5 games up on the Guardians. It's going to take a miracle for the Guardians, who are 68-76, to come back. I think they had a 0.3% chance of winning that division as of Sunday evening. Again, our power rankings brought to you by 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. They drop every Monday right here on our YouTube channel at Barrels and Barrels Pod. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Barrels and Barrels Pod, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Barrels and Barrels. And you can buy a hat or glassware through our link tree in our Instagram bio. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed everything you saw here. I am Brandon. That is Michael. Michael Burns, high proof, high heat. That's what we talk. Let's go home.
Let's go.